driver on the 8th row of the grid. And then Joe Turney of Great Britain alongside the Polish driver Kamil Donic. That rounds out the top 10. Zsoldep Tush will be there with Kilian Belair on the 6th row of the grid. Jordan Brown-Nutley will line up beside Jan Govaerts, the man who was 7th in last year's European Series for Senior X30. Arnaud Giroud, the Swiss driver, will be alongside Juan Carlos Hernandez Ruiz of Spain. And then we have the Finnish racer Levi Lintukanto alongside the Frenchman Corentin Pelletier. And then we have Swedish racer Patrick Rundqvist alongside the Brit Louis Westover. Then the Spaniard Ruben Moya, who will once again be charging his way further forward, will line up beside Ross Hayes, the Irishman, for Piers Sexton Racing. And then we have Masatoru Wada, the Japanese driver, lining up in there as well beside Tony Harainen. And then Jack Tomlin of Great Britain with the Dutchman Rivaldo van der Westerlaken. Henke Kalteren will line up beside the Swiss racer Stefan Planchamp. The Hong Kong racer Boris Young will line up beside the Dutchman Kevin Stehauer. And then we have the Filipino racer Tai Alexander Zilberti alongside the Spaniard Manel Golofratone. So it's going to be an interesting battle. There's several drivers you want to take note of charging their way further forward. Ruben Moya is bound to be making up more places as he did earlier. And Ross Hayes will be charging their way forward from a lower position from their point of view. Manel Golofratone and the Filipino racer Tai Alexander Zilberti will both be wanting to make up places from the back row of the grid. Neither of them should be there in terms of their raw pace. So that's definitely going to be a talking point as Zilberti and Golofratone start to move their way further forward up the field. And both of them have shown overtaking prowess in their first heats already today. So we'll see them march their way further forward. It is going to be a really interesting one as they battle their way through the mix of drivers. So it is going to be tough to know who's going to win this one, though, because up at the front, we've got 6 drivers in the first 6 positions who do have a claim to win here today, with the Swiss driver Danny Bundschuh from pole position, one of the fastest drivers yesterday. Danny Curl, of course, a world champion. Only a few months ago, he clinched that title. And he's been very strong today, a race winner already today as well. Vincent Marceau, local knowledge, and on the inside line this time should see him in very good stead, with the Belgian Rens van Pelt always at the front of any grid he's in. Then we have Kike Borges-Cotes on the inside line of the 3rd row. He'll be one to keep an eye on, as too will the other Spaniard, Carlos Saval. All 6 of those drivers for me have the chance to win here. But there are a few a little further back who might surprise us. On the 8th row on the outside, Thanapompang Sutumnu has been going very well here indeed, as has Philip Vava on the inside line of that 4th row. And then just rounding out the top 10, we've got Joe Turney, who was up in 4th position by the end of the race earlier on. And then we have Kamil Donic, the Polish driver for Unique Racing, rounding out the top 10 as well. There's going to be quite a few drivers wanting to move forward. Jordan Brown-Nutley and Jan Govaerts from the 7th row, along with the other French aces, Zsoldep Tush and Kilian Belair, who are just ahead of them. Arnaud Giroud, Levi Lintukanto and Patrick Rundqvist, all from the inside line, with Ruben Moya just behind them. All 4 of those guys are going to want to move their way forward and will have a good chance to do so from the inside line. But then we've also got the likes of Juan Carlos Hernandez Ruiz. Louis Westover's a little further back than he wants to be. Ross Hayes is there. Rivaldo van der Westerlaken. We've even got the likes of Henke Kalteren a little further back from where he should be. Jack Tomlin has not had the qualifying he wanted yesterday. And as we've already mentioned, Tai Alexander Zilberti and Manel Golofratone, the Philippines racer and the Spanish ace on the back row of the grid, not quite where they meant to be. And so they will be charging their way forward as well. 11 more laps on the clock and time to go racing once again for the Senior X30s and qualifying heat BC, the 4th Senior X30 race of the day. And it's going to be a really exciting one as the drivers get themselves ready to go. And they will leave the pits in formation. They will do 2 formation laps of the circuit as per. And then they will form up round the 2nd of those laps and get themselves ready for 11 laps of no-nonsense racing. Danny Bundschuh, the Swiss, not finishing his first heat where he wanted to, but now from pole position will get the best possible chance of taking a victory after a stonkingly good qualifying session yesterday. He will be right near the front. Danny Curl will be with him. Green light goes, and we're ready to race as the field now filters out. So, from the front of the field, it's Bundschuh and Curl, Marceau and Van Pelt, Borges-Cotes and Saval, Vava and Sutumnu, Turney and Donic, Deptush and Belair, Brown-Nutley and Govaerts, Giroud and Hernandez Ruiz, Lintukanto and Pelletier, Rundqvist and Westover, Moya and Hayes, Harainen and Wada, Tomlin and van der Westerlaken, Kalteren and Planchamp, Jung, Stehauer, Zilberti and Golofratone. Now, this is going to be a really interesting race for all of the drivers concerned, particularly those in the midfield who are perhaps a little bit lower back on the grid than they wanted to start the race. From Danny Curl at the front, he's on the outside line, having won the earlier heat from the inside line. He's going to have to really assert himself in the first couple of laps of this to make sure that Danny Bunshu is not going to just disappear and run away and hide. So it is going to be a tough one. But there's several drivers in the Senior X30 brigade to keep an eye out for. Danny Curl from the outside line is obviously one to watch, having been a race winner already. Danny Bunshu just disappeared from the fray completely in his earlier heat and faded from the outside of the front row. Now he's on the inside of the front row, so he should get a better start in theory. But theory is never quite the same as practice, so we'll have to see how these guys fare. So on the second formation lap now, 6 drivers in the first 6 places, all with a chance to win this one. You can't really count out Kike Bodas-Cotes, who was fastest in his group in the warm-up this morning. So he's got good speed underneath him. In fact, he's had good speed all weekend, actually, as Kike Bodas-Cotes. So let's see how he goes from the 3rd row of the starting grid alongside Carlos Saval. The important thing for Kike is that he's on the inside line. He's in 5th place on the right-hand side of the grid for the inside line for that first corner. So he'll have the advantage. Anybody on the outside is going to need to be quite aggressive through that first corner and hold their own on the outside line to make sure they don't lose too much ground. But the advantage is definitely to the people on the inside line. And so they're going to have to work very hard to hold on to it. So Danny Bunshu and Danny Curl on the front row of the grid. Vincent Marceau and Rens van Pelt. Kike Bodas-Cotes and Carlos Saval. Philip Vava and Thanapong Pangsatumnu. Joe Turney and Kamil Donic on the front of the grid. And it's going to be very tough from here on in for those guys to hold on to their current positions. So let's see how they go. It will be tough. It will be tense, but they will be up for the battle. Danny Bunshu and Danny Curl on the front row of the grid. Bunshu on the left-hand side of your picture, Curl on the right-hand side. But the inside line is for Bunshu. Out of the final turn they come. The engine revs will rise. Let's see if we get a good start. We do! And it's a cracking getaway for Bunshu. Curl's got a good one around the outside. He's going to slot into 2nd place. He manages to keep it nice and tidy. Bunshu's going to hold the inside line through 2, but he darts out wide. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Danny Curl still giving him plenty of pressure. But Bunshu gets a clean start. It's all going to get very spicy behind for 4 and 5. And there's 3 or 4 wide out of turn 5, but somehow they all get away with it without incident. But it is Bunshu in front of Curl. They've managed to keep their positions. Vincent Marceau holds on to 3rd place in front of Rens van Pelt as well. There's a few overtaking moves being attempted on the first lap. That's getting a little bit close for comfort. The Dan Holland Racing driver getting a little bit heavy-handed, well, certainly getting treated heavy-handedly there. As they come off of turn 11, down on the far side, and back to the end of the lap, Danny Bunshu in front of Danny Curl. Curl is working his magic to try and put Bunshu under pressure. And here at the end of the lap, Curl is going to make the move at the end of the first lap, and Curl dives down the inside of Bunshu, takes the lead, shuts the door beautifully, so Danny Curl leads, Bunshu 2nd, 10 to go. Curl, Bunshu, Marceau, Bodas-Cotes, Vava and Saval, back on the inside goes Bunshu, and through as well goes Marceau. Curl's going to run wide, and he drops back into 4th position because through as well goes Kike Bodas-Cotes. So Kike Bodas-Cotes up into 3rd position. 2nd place is Vincent Marceau, but leading the way now is Danny Bunshu. Now is that Kike Bodas-Cotes going through to 2nd place? He doesn't quite manage to make the move stick. So Vincent Marceau remains in 2nd place. Danny Curl down in 4th place for the moment, but plenty of time to make it up. That's all because the Swiss ace Danny Bunshu decided he was going for the move. So Danny Bunshu leads the way from Vincent Marceau. And it looks to me as though in 3rd place we have Kike Bodas-Cotes working his magic there. Up into 3rd place, 4th position. That is your man, Danny Curl, still leading the way. 5th place for Carlos Saval. In fact, no, I think that's now Joe Turney. Joe Turney has got past Carlos Saval. So they come off the turn once again. Little signal from Kike Bodas-Cotes. Help me get further, Danny. Come on. Danny Curl is there behind him. And he's going to try and make the move for Vincent Marceau. Can't get through. Danny Bunshu holds it. It's Switzerland, France, Spain, and Britain at the moment in the top 4. The top 5, Joe Turney's braked into it now. So Turney is 5th. And then it looks as though a little bit of a mistake out of 5 for Carlos Saval. He's going to have Rens van Pelt breathing down his neck. Philip Vava is 8th. And then in 9th place, that looks like 9th position. Who is that in position now? That looks like Going to see who that is from a long way off, actually. That looks like we've got the driver who's worked his way a lot further forward than I thought he was going to be. And is trying to double-check who that is in 9th place. Yes, it is Joel Deptouche. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to double-check before I nailed my flags to the mast. But now Joel Deptouche has made his way past Philippe Vavre. A good start then from Deptouche. So Deptouche finds himself now in 8th position in front of Vavre. Kylian Belair has moved up to 10th place now as well. In front of, now that looks to me like the man in 11th place is Jordan Brown Nutley, so he's coming up through the field pretty quickly too. Jana Govaerts, the lead change. That looks like Bundschuh has been shunted down to 3rd position as round the outside, Danny Curl is going to take 2nd place off him, but leading the way now is Vincent Marcerou. Marcerou does not get a great exit out of 5. Danny Curl's going to get alongside him, they're going to squeeze each other down the back straight. This is going to be amazing from Danny Curl, he's going to take back the lead. 4th position a lap ago, and now Danny Curl is leading. And that has slipped Vincent Marcerou down to 3rd place because Joe Turney's gone with him. It's now Danny Curl leading Joe Turney as they battle the position up and over the curbs. A battle for 3rd position is going badly for Vincent Marcerou and Danny Bundschuh. Bundschuh's dropped back, so 3rd is Saval. 4th is now, I think that's Enrique Borges-Cotes. Is it now to 4th place? No, Vincent Marcerou has held on to 4th. In front of Kiki Borges-Cotes. Look, it's open season further back as cards are jostling for position. Rens van Pelt getting in the battle there as Philippe Vavre gets hung out to dry and loses about 3 places. But Danny Curl leads the way. 2nd is now the 241 of Carlos Saval. Joe Turney's going backwards. There's an amazing squabble over 3rd place. Vincent Marcerou's now gone through into 3rd place. Kiki Borges-Cotes has come through as well now. Joe Turney has slotted back into 6th position, I think that is, with... I think that might be Joel Deptouche, who has moved his way up. Oh, and there's an off further back. That's an off at turn 5. Somebody going very wide and off onto the grass and the mud. So several drivers falling down the order there, I think. Up on the inside again, a really nice overtaking move in the mid-pack there, or certainly at the sharp end of the field as the race is still battling away for position. That is for 4th place, and that is Joel Deptouche. The local man is suddenly starting to kick on a little bit here and gain some ground. So Joel Deptouche, the Frenchman, is doing a magnificent job in P4. So Danny Curl leads, Carlos Saval 2nd, Vincent Marcerou is 3rd, and it's Joel Deptouche who's in 4th place now in front of Kiki Borges-Cotes. So an absolutely terrific run. In fact, Kiki Borges-Cotes has dropped a long way back now. Rens van Pelt is in there in 6th place. Danny Bundschuh is down to 7th place now. Once again, perhaps a little bit of over-eagerness for Danny Bundschuh as he's made a couple of overtaking moves and compromised his race as a result. 8th place is now Jana Govaerts. The Belgian has got his way further forward. Philippe Vavre is 9th. Camille Donich is in 10th place. Levi Lunter-Cantu's now moved forward. He's up into 11th place. 12th, that looks like Thanapompang Satumnu has moved further forward. Donich makes the move on Vavre. Ruben Moyer's working his way forward. He's now up to 12th place in front of... Now, I'm trying to figure out who that is up into 13th position. Working their way further forward. I wonder if... Well, Ross Hayes is in that lot. So too is Enzo Giraud. Ruben Moyer has made up a little bit of ground. I wonder if that is one of the drivers who was running up in the top end of the field. 13th position. I'm trying to figure out who that is behind Thanapompang Satumnu, who is there in... well, Satumnu was up in that order. Now he's down to 20th or so. So he's losing an awful lot of places as they come over the field this time. I think that's Manel Golofretorna. So it is Manel Golofretorna. I wasn't quite sure who it was that was in there in position. I couldn't quite see through the sun haze, but it is Manel Golofretorna, who is up to 13th position from the back of the grid. Then it's also Giraud. Ross Hayes is 15th. Then it is Kylian Belair, 17th position. That looks like Juan Carlos Hernandez Ruiz. And then we have 18th place is Tony Harainen. I think in 19th position we have Patrick Rundqvist now in front of Thanapompang Satumnu. So that is your top 20. I hope that made sense of that. Westover and Brown Nutley are in that lot as well. But Joe Turney has retired from the race, I can tell you. Joe Turney was in the mix and is now out of the race. So disaster for Joe Turney, and that really has made his day an awfully lot more harder. I wonder if he'd got himself into a battle with somebody and there's damage to the cart as a result. And that's why he is out of the race. But Joe Turney retires from the race. That's a real shame. So now it's Danny Curl and Carlos Saval battling away for the victory. Carlos Saval desperately trying to reel in the world champion, Danny Curl. Vincent Marcerou is in 3rd position, and not for long though, because up the inside for 3rd place, that is Joel Deptouche. Deptouche makes the move for 3rd place. So the Frenchman on home soil has got himself into P3. Great work for Joel Deptuche. There's great battles everywhere you look, in fact, as there are still more drivers trying to work their way further forward. Still some great action everywhere you look, but the race lead is going to be debated shortly. Carlos Saval is only 0.4 of a second behind Danny Curl with 3 laps to go at the end of this one. So it is going to be an interesting run over the course of these next 3.5 laps. Danny Curl still leads. Great battle. Second place, Carlos Saval trying to stay with him. I think he made a bit of a mistake through 13, actually, Saval, and that has given Danny Curl a bit more breathing space than he would like to give him. Third place, though, is the local man, Joel Deptuche, having worked his way to third place. Then it is Vincent Marceau, who has gone there to 4th. Danny Bundschuh to 5th. Rens van Pelt to 6th. Really good work, this, as Joel Deptuche sets the fastest lap of the race now, 62.006 for the man in third position. The local man, Joel Deptuche, has gone faster than anybody around the circuit, and that is a great lap. And he's doing everything he possibly can to close up on Carlos Saval in second place. Still great racing and great battles all the way through the field. Some amazing crocodile of battles through the field as they snake their way through corner after corner, complex after complex. And it is going to be a really interesting battle all the way to the death. Even at the front of the field, there is still drama because Carlos Saval is only half a second behind our man in the lead, Danny Curl. Now, Joel Deptuche is doing a good job. Now, what's going to be the battle from Joel Deptuche? Can he close up on Carlos Saval? He's only 0.9 of a second behind him, and he is going faster than both of the men in front of him at the moment. So this is going to be interesting because the fastest man on the circuit is Joel Deptuche, and he's just ducked under 62 seconds for the lap. Joel Deptuche has done a 61.983. So the fastest man of the circuit is still Joel Deptuche. He's going faster and faster and faster, the 309. But there is Carlos Saval in second, trying to reel in Danny Curl while getting away from Joel Deptuche. 2 to go, and this is not going to be easy. So Danny Curl still working hard here in front of Carlos Saval. Joel Deptuche in third, and in fourth place we've even got Vincent Marceau putting on a bit of a spurt of speed again. So Vincent Marceau trying to move forward, but this man is the fastest man of the race. Joel Deptuche in third place, closing in on these two out in front, Danny Curl and Carlos Saval. Will we get a French podium? We certainly will in the heat at this rate, but will we get it overall? Joel Deptuche trying to work his magic and move his way further forward. He's definitely using his experience of the Salbris circuit to move further forward. Then we've got Vincent Marceau and Danny Bundschuh, 4th and 5th. Rens van Pelt in 6th. Then it is Kike Boris-Cotes in 7th place from Jana Govaerts, Philip Vava and Levi Lintecanto. Last lap. And it looks like Danny Curl is going to have this, but Carlos Saval is doing everything he possibly can to close in. And it looks like we've lost another. I think Masatora Wada has retired from the race now as well. But Danny Bundschuh, in his attempts to get past Vincent Marceau, has set the fastest lap of the race now. Rens van Pelt is there in 6th place. 7th is, I think that's Kike Boris-Cotes in 7th place still. Jana Govaerts is in 8th. Vava 9th. Lintecanto 10th. There's still a few positions changing further back. But with 2 retirements in Masatora Wada and Joe Turney, it's going to leave Danny Curl with a bit of a mission on Carlos Saval. Just keep him at bay, and Saval is getting closer. There's only 2 corners to go, and Saval may try something in the final corner of the lap. But Danny Curl is too far away in the final reckoning. With 1 more lap, this race could have spiced up even more, but it's going to be a victory for Danny Curl, who wins from Carlos Saval. 2nd for Saval, 3rd for Joel Deptuche, who gets another fastest lap in the final lap. Great work from Joel Deptuche. Magnifique. 4th for Vincent Marceau, Danny Bundschuh in 5th, Rens van Pelt is 6th from Kike Boris-Cotes, Jana Govaerts, Philip Vava, Levi Lintecanto, Camille Donic and Enzo Giraud. 13th for Ruben Moya, 14th for Juan Carlos Hernandez-Ruiz. Patrick Rundqvist is 15th from Tony Harainen. Then Kilian Belair. Manel Golofretone made his way up to 18th in the end from Louis Westover. And in 20th position, I think that one ended up going the way of Jordan Brown-Nutley. So a fantastic result then, once again for Danny Curl. He had to fight a lot harder this time to get there, though. Carlos Saval in 2nd from Joel Deptuche, Vincent Marceau, Danny Bundschuh, Rens van Pelt, Kike Boris-Cotes, Jana Govaerts, and then Philip Vava and Levi Lintecanto rounding out the top 10 in front of Camille Donic and Enzo Giraud, Ruben Moya, Juan Carlos Hernandez-Ruiz, Patrick Rundqvist, Tony Harainen, Kilian Belair, Manuel Golofratone from Louis Westover and Jordan Brown-Nutley, Rivaldo van der Westerleken, Ty Alexander Zilberti, Henke Kalteren, Boris Young in 24th place for the Piers Sexton Racing Team. 25th, Anapong Bangsatumnu, very disappointed from his point of view. Ross Hayes, Jack Tomlin, Kevin Stahauer, Stefan Planchamp, and Corentin Pelletier, with Masatora Wada and Joe Turney failing to make the flag. 2 wins in 2 starts for Danny Curl, and it's definitely looking good from his point of view, but there's still a long way to go. And at this point in proceedings, that signals the halfway mark in today's action here at the Circuit International de Salbris. So we will take a pause in proceedings and we will come back once again at around about, let me try and look at the times that we will have. I think our next race in the bag is going to be at about 1:40. So we will come back at 1:30 French time. So if you're watching in Great Britain, that is 12:30. Anywhere in Europe, it is 1:30. So we will be back a little bit later on in the day with more great action from the Circuit International de Salbris.